and start again.
In Yovil. As I said, I wanted to introduce my friends who I've met along my journey. Tina is a good friend that I met in development class with other people. And I want to say hello, introduce Tina to the rest of you so you get to know her and love her as much as I do. So good morning, Tina.
Good morning, though. It's good evening. Good evening in the UK. Yes, good evening.
We are time traveling.
We are. It's exciting, isn't it?
Mm.
I love the fact that I have friends from all over the world now.
It's made life a lot more interesting. If we ever need advice on anything, and I do quite frequently, and I will admit that, I have a number of friends I can now turn to instead of sitting in my corner, hiding behind my curtains thinking, oh God, what have I done wrong now? How do I go forward? I have my friends.
I always think, I always kind of go into myself and go, okay, can I work this one out myself? I sit there, and then if I can't, I go, okay, who do I need to call, for this particular issue? And sometimes, most of the time, you can work it out, or I go for a walk and my spirit guides will come to me by the trees or something.
Well, my husband yesterday cut down majority of our ruddy trees, so my sacred part of the garden is no longer there.
Oh no, Bev.
It's my personal space, and he lovingly said, we're not going away this weekend. I need to do stuff at home. So I said, yeah, okay. Had a bit of a sulk. I continued getting on with the housework side of stuff. And as I ventured out, so I could hear this, I thought, what's he doing? And yeah, he'd my personal space where I go, I sit, I meditate, I ask my questions. I have now got 4 trees that no longer exist because he decided trimming them wasn't enough. So I went out and I said, look, I don't want to be a pain in the bum, love. I said, but you've actually done my dedicated personal to go to space whenever I'm feeling in need of my guides to come in and sort me out, or I need a chat with a certain guide. That is the place I go to. And he said, it was overgrown. I said, yeah, but there's one particular tree that is my listening tree. And she no longer exists. And like many people, I believe in faith folk, and I know my faith folk were there because I talk to them. I receive a lot of little answers. They're not there anymore either.
Oh no.
To go out in the garden while he was chin wagging to his friend on the front and apologize to the sacred ground for what had happened I was unaware of was going to take place. My husband didn't know. Please don't leave me. So yeah, for about 6 hours yesterday, he couldn't understand why I walked around looking like somebody had slapped me in the face with a wet haddock. So today I've got to go out and renew the energy and apologize to all my little flowers that he'd stood on.
But then don't you think it's kind of yeah, I agree with all of that, but then you could say he's testing you, and he was meant to do that so that maybe you realize that you can contact your spirit guides anywhere, which you know anyway, and there is a message there somewhere, isn't there?
Yes, Beverly, use your vocal cords before he hacks down.
Well, yes, but also become individual and be able to connect wherever you are.
Yeah, it's just that this little place is a place that since we moved here and he planted the trees, it became mine. It's where I discovered the Fae. It's, all of a sudden going out there feeling down and miserable, to hear this little voice in your head saying, we're here, come talk to us, we're waiting. But then to actually see Fae. The first time I saw Fae, you know, I'd sneaked out for a little ciggy and I'd got my coffee and I was feeling very woeful. And this, I had some marigolds, big, huge orange marigolds. And there was this, what I thought was a beetle just laid on it, about that big. I thought, oh, that's strange. Not a dragonfly, it's not a bee, it's not a wasp. What the heck is it? And as I got closer, it was an actual young girl with her hands behind her head, the sun coming in through the leaves, and she looked at me and she went, "Hi, I'm Lilith, excuse me," and went. It was the most strangest, weirdest, okay, am I losing my mind finally now moment. But when I went out, I thought, well, no, obviously there is something there. It was evening, sun was setting. I went out, I said, Lilith, it's Bev. Are you available for a wee chat, darling? Of course, she said, you can talk to me anytime. You are a silly moo. You've got some peculiar habits. I said, oh, thank you, I think. She said, God, don't you fret. She said, you know, we think it's funny when you're talking to us. We know that you're aware, you are unaware. So we keep quiet, but we don't have a laugh at you. So I thought, okay, now you've sold me. That was it. I was sold, I was gone. And I got to know their names.
But they'll come back, won't they? They'll come back when the tree grows, surely.
I don't know, Lilith buggered off when he pulled out the wallflowers. And she hasn't been back, but there is this David and Dimitri, there's Floss and Flo, but each particular area of the garden has their own fae. And various plants have their own fae. So it's really strange, but I love it.
I get so I think I haven't seen them that close, but I get the light in the trees and everything like that. But what I get more of a connection. I don't understand. I know I'll understand it one day, but when I go into the woods, I have a local woods where it takes about half an hour to go. And as soon as I get there, I close my eyes. I could be standing in the middle of the trees or touching a tree or in the pathway as soon as I've arrived, like this little wood.
Yeah.
And I know you'll be able to tell me. And I just stand there and I go really early in the morning, like 6 or 7, no one's around. And I just feel like it's all brown and golden around me, like filling, I think it's energy, like earth energy. Something is magical happening as soon as I get into the woods or hold a tree sometimes as well. And it just like, it's a bit like,
it's being connected to the earth and being connected to what's around us, and they're just showing gratitude that they know that you're aware, and it's their welcoming to you.
Lovely.
But it's
and
I know I haven't actually told many people outside of development group, and even half of them don't know. There's a little bit more to life than what normal people are aware of. And I think the more
a hell of a lot more than to life. Yeah.
But the more sensitive you are, the more you feel.
Yeah.
I have 2 beautiful daughters, 6 years apart in age, who are both incredibly gifted in their own rights. Eldest daughter doesn't want this. She sees, she hears, but she doesn't want it. It freaks her out. She parked it. She will give me little snippets every time, you know, something exciting, and then it's up. I don't want to discuss it anymore. I've told you. That's fine, darling. Go and have your cup of coffee. Yeah. Youngest one, she sees, she hears. Her empath, we've got to hone in now, and try and get it shut down a little bit so she can actually cope with what happens day to day. She's in tune to everything, and she's open, and she will chat. And we sit and have our little talks together. Husband, God, I love him. He knows I do the healing side of things, and he knows I do the hot rock therapy side of things and the facials and the feet. This side we don't talk about. He doesn't want to know.
No, my husband doesn't either, though he's very spiritual within his he's here like my guide. So even though he doesn't know it, that's what he is. Yeah.
Oh God, he's come back. I do love this man. He must be various I've forgotten things meetings today, because he's been back 3 times now. But John is, the healing he will accept. And especially now, because he's come a little bit ill, I'm having healing sent, like Demi's healing. She's brilliant with her pranic. We've done healing with him at home. We'll go to bed and he'll go, Bev, can you just place an arm on my back and do it? I said, yeah, well, what healing do you want tonight, darling? He said, go on, give us a list again. I love it. So I said, okay, you can have Reiki, you can have the Atlantis, you can have the unicorns, which always raises his eye. I said, I'm feeling in a bit of a bugger mood. Let's go with dragons. And he'll sit there and he'll look at me. I'll say, well, do you want to try it or not? He'll go, I'll give anything a go. But it works.
Yeah.
And it takes his pain away, which brings, he can have that peaceful sleep. So when the alarm goes off in the morning, he can actually sit up, put his feet on the ground and walk to the bathroom without screaming in pain.
Yeah, my husband, I always do Reiki on him because he falls. I cuddle him, and then my hands are light, and then I go, oh, okay. I start. My hand is normally on his belly because it's nice and cuddly, and then I move somewhere else, and by that time he knows I'm doing it because I'm putting my hands in strange places.
Yes.
and by that time he's just kind of going, oh, okay, she's doing Reiki. And I obviously need it, and let that just happen. But interestingly, his brother's coming up next weekend, and he suffers from PTSD. And he's just said, I've asked my brother if you could do some Reiki on him to see if he can cure his PTSD. So that's a big thing for both of them, because his brother's very religious, I think, Christian, a different sort of church where he lives.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to having a go. And I was like, oh, okay, because I helped someone with PTSD before, but I had to use some spell work. So, and that was really the first time I had really used, crystals all around, and goddess power and real spell work. But it worked. But this guy, I kind of went, okay, what's going to work? Because I think he'd be freaked out if I have crystals all over him. And that my guys just went Reiki. So I know that I just do plain Reiki, but talking. My healing has changed since the new moon, since the solar eclipse. It's gone to a different not level, it's sidelined. So I'm more doing talking, teaching, so they can heal themselves rather than me heal them. And then I have a blast of 5 minutes of intense Reiki, then ground them, then they go happy. So that's kind of where it's going.
So we're both basically working along the same lines. I mean, they come to the home, I greet them, we walk through, they go in the healing room, and it's just a mass of crystals. There's a bed and it's a mass of crystals. I'm a big thing on butter as well. So I've walked to my daughter, I've got bloody butter everywhere. I love butter, so is my, my thing, although I'm not a Buddhist. So they're laying on the bed, they've got the choice, you can lay on the back or lay on the tummy. I explain about it, and then we'll go through, but it seems to be to help calm them. Yes, we've got the nice woppy music playing, and I do give them a choice of what music they want, because I have very strange music that I like. It's not everybody's taste. So and then as you're doing it, the conversation flows, and I think it helps relax them more.
Yeah, and they trust you then.
And then it's stuff. And if a message comes through with them, I know a lot of people say, you shouldn't do this if you're doing a healing. But to me, if spirit's taken that time, if spirit's taken the time and energy to drop in, and they want to know what you're doing to their said loved one on table or friend, and you just say, right, I've just got a gentleman walked in, and then you describe what they look like, and if they've given you the feelings of what they've passed with, does this make any sense to you? And they'll go, you've got my uncle, blah, 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 he was blah, blah, blah. I said, well, he just wants you to know that when you're driving, do you mind actually looking to the right and removing your foot off the gas pedal? And they go, oh, yeah, well, I'm a bit of a speed freak. I said, well, your uncle's reminding you that, you know, you do need to stop just before the corner a little bit nicely, not just slam on your brakes. And please don't, you know, don't dodge the traffic. Take your time, look. Because if you don't, young lady, your car's going to be in the workshop next week. And they go, oh shit, yeah, thanks. And it does build up that more of a rapport. And to me, it's a nice way of saying to the client, well, thank you for coming anyway. But it's brought through a member of their family that actually proves, yes, you are being watched. And that, yes, you do have little driving habits that do need attending.
I do it I do it slightly differently. Well, so when they about half an hour, quarter of an hour, I you know, sage the room and get ready, and then I just sit the ground and I just sit there and say, okay, is anyone coming through for them? And then I start writing notes. Sometimes if I'm there half an hour early, then I would write masses of notes about the people that are coming through and their spirit guides and what they're here for and what I need to work on. And so, and sometimes I do a couple of tarot if I get the intuition to do tarot on it as well. And then by the time they've walked through the door, I know so much about them. And then that helps because, and people have said, you know, so I said, oh, I think I've got your dad here. And your dad is saying blah, blah, blah. Oh, yes, that's my dad. And they're like, especially if they've just come for Reiki and they don't know you're a medium, or, and then we talk, then we go on the bed, and then sometimes someone else comes through or their dad's still there, you know, and oh, he's saying this. And I think, so I like to have that little practice beforehand so that I know what I'm dealing with. Not that it matters, but it seems to reassure them that you, maybe puts them in a safe place, that you know about them already. They don't have to explain themselves, and you understand, you connect with them, something. It works anyway, because they always, last one, I remember her saying, I can't believe that you knew my dad, or you know my dad, or my dad's here. How do you do that, you know? But, you know, that's part of what we do, isn't it? So
yeah, it's the one question I do want to know is, which I don't know about you, is how did you actually get into into spiritualism? How did you discover the healing and then your stuff? Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I first started, funnily enough, when I got divorced. So I found out that I suspected my husband was having an affair, but didn't really realize it. And I went to see, so I was there with my leg waxer. She was waxing my legs, and I said, I keep seeing flies. I don't know what flies, but they're right in front of me, like landing on me and not moving. I was like, she went, you got to go and see my husband. He's a psychic. So I was like, okay. And then on the way to his house, I saw 3 blind people, literally, as I drove. And it's only like 20-minute drive. And I was like, there's a blind person crossing the road in front of me. There's a blind person there. There's a blind person there. So got to his house. I said, I keep seeing flies. I keep seeing blind people. What does that mean? And he said, well, the flies are a spirit guide, your spirit guide coming through, and he represents, you know, his name must be something to do with fly or something. And it was, I've got 2 Native American, it was one of the Native American guys. And the blind people are saying, basically, take your eyes out, wash them out, and see what you're seeing, because you're kind of, you know, because you're not seeing what you're seeing.
Yeah.
So I said, so you're saying he's having an affair? And he said, take your eyes out. So when I went back, I started looking for evidence, and I found it. And so I won't tell you what I found. And so I confronted him, and that was it. So I kind of went, ooh. And then and then Stuart, this guy, he said, the psychic, he said, you will be doing what I do one day. And I was like, and
It
then I
does, it
went,
surprises the hell out of us.
yeah. I was like, really? No. And then I went, my friend invited me to an angel card reading. She just got this person to come along, and it was a little family affair, and the cards were so accurate, and everyone was spot on looking after me. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. So then I bought my own angel cards, and I'm very blessed because I live half an hour away from Glastonbury, which is such a spiritual place, as you probably well know. And so I started going there. Oh, this is a real exciting story. So I started going there a lot. And there's this place called the Goddess Temple in Glastonbury. It's the first temple in the whole world to be devoted to goddesses, which that's a big subject that basically goddesses were there before God. We had a feminine energy running through the universe. Then we went into masculine energy, and now this is the age of Aquarius, where we're going to a balance. But at the time, goddesses were the thing to worship and whatever. Anyway, so I went to this shop, and I stood in the middle of it. First of all, I went to the shop first. I stood in it, and my feet just bolted to the floor, and I could not move. And I was like, oh my God, what's happening? They were like lead. And the woman said, you're right there, love. And I went, I can't move. And I just started crying and crying. And she went, I think you're being called to the goddess. And I was like, I don't even know what that means, but okay. So she gave me a leaflet of courses they did, all about celebrating and worshipping, and not worshipping, that's a bad word, but learning the goddess way. And so I went, picked up the leaflet, went out, and no word of a lie, I got in my car, drove all the way through Glastonbury, ended up in a different car park, came back in the shop without realizing it. I was there with I said, oh, I'm back again. She went, oh, so you are. And I can't remember how I got there. And I said, oh, I think I better sign up then. So then I did 2 years training as a priestess healer. So that means, learning my craft really as a healer, and all about the goddesses, and they breathe and live within you. God and angels kind of, you call on them for help and they answer, but goddesses kind of just work with you, and they're awesome. And I've been and then I'm a dream worker as well. So for all my life, I've dreamt of goddesses, but not realized what they were. They represent as witches, and when I dream. And I used to have them when I was a child, and I had nightmares because these scary people. But I suddenly clicked, oh, the goddesses were there from about the age of 5, probably. All my life I've had goddesses around me. Anyway, so by this time I had opened so they have this temple that's devoted to goddess in Glastonbury. I opened my own temple in Yovil, where I live. And it was in a public building, and people would come in and out, and I'd meet loads of people and loads of healers. I trained in Reiki 1, Reiki 2, and now I'm a master. And I tune people by distance. I'm just putting it out there. So I opened this temple, and then we had COVID about 18 months into it, and I had to close it because the building wasn't even allowed in. And my spiritual husband, who doesn't think he's spiritual, said, I'll build you a pod in the garden. So I have this
lovely
wooden cabin, just sounds like yours. And as soon as I hit my wooden cabin, because I'd come away from goddess and I was doing working with angels, Jesus and God and St. Peter, mustn't forget him. As soon as I got into my pod, suddenly it was back into goddesses. I just suddenly, oh, I'm going to call in my goddesses. Shamanic work hit in, and that was, I immersed myself for about a year in goddess and shamanic work, and psychology and inner child kicks in with
Yeah.
that bit. And then just recently I've gone back into archangels again, so it's all happening. I just follow the flow, really. And one of the meditations I did with Elena, was I went right up to be with the lunar goddess, the goddess of the moon, and she just taught me free flowing energy, which is that true feminine energy, is where you
Yeah.
go, I'm listening to my higher higher self, and I'm like, yeah, can't get out of bed today, that's fine. Oh, I'm going to do a 10-mile run today. Actually, that hasn't happened, but you know what I mean. Oh, I'm going to do that. Oh, I'm going to eat chocolate. No, I'm going to, and I just follow exactly what they guide me. And ever since I've been doing that, everything's worked out fine. So, yeah.
See, my journey didn't really kick in full time until my dad died. My mum, we moved out here 17 years ago to be with a little sister, to do up our house. We just came out on 6 months holiday. We were doing up her home because they were getting married at the farm. And then we were going back to Britain to pick up our life again and continue. We got here. Things weren't, it wasn't what we thought it was going to be. Lots of awful stuff happened. And I kept hearing the word Reiki. And being a Grimsby fisherman's daughter, I thought Reiki was a form of Japanese karate. And I thought, I'd never heard of it in England. Why do I need to learn Japanese karate? I've got a really good right hand. My dad taught me to use, because he was a fisherman. Girls need protection. He taught us all how to use our right hand. So this word Reiki just was being bounced around a lot. And I stupidly never asked what it was. I thought Japanese karate. Now, mum and dad came out, Helen got married. Mum and dad went back home. Some rotten stuff went down. Things happened. Mum and dad then decided they would join myself and my two sisters because they missed their grandchildren. And the grandchildren were seriously missing their grandparents. So mum and dad came out. Unfortunately, mummy got took ill a couple of months later, and she passed very quickly, which left a huge void, not just for us, but for my dad. And then very shortly after, dad had a massive heart attack and passed. For about a year, I was sullen, nasty, hated the world, didn't want to be a part of it anymore. I'd gone so deep within myself with my grief for my parents. About a year later, I thought, oh, stop this. This is just bleeding stupid. Get yourself off. Go to a medium. So I went to a beautiful young Maori girl in Palmerston who, on greeting me, said, right, Bev, your dad's here has told me you like a black coffee. You don't need water. You've got a gullet that's iron, Sit in that room, I'll be 2 minutes. And my gob dropped. Oh, okay. Went in the little room. I got the biggest kick up it was a spiritual kick up the arse. Half an hour's worth of being battered off the walls. But I needed it. I seriously needed this. And then she says, and now we've stopped crying. Your dad? Yes. He said, he says, now, Berg, I apologise for lying, for calling you a liar. And I thought, I've lied, but it's only been over silly little things. What was he apologising for? And what it was is my dad, once mum had gone, he said, that's it, you're dead. All you are is a memory. A picture on the wall, you are a memory. Nothing else. And that was hard to take. But he came through in his first words, and please forgive the swearing, but this is my dad. He said, hey, Beg, it's fucking brill up here. He said, God, your mother. Or he says, I remember why you came around so bloody quickly now, kid. Oh my God, and your nana. Do you know your nana? And I'm getting all this from the family that my dad had met up there and how excited he was. So I said, okay. we get you loving it, Dad. And my mum's still in the healing room. I mean, Dad and Grandpa look fine. Got anything you want to tell me? He said, yeah, that Reiki kid, it's not Japanese karate, it's a form of healing. Some lady's going to sort you out. And he told me how much to save out my wages per week so I could afford to do it. And that a Reiki master would come into my life. And if I paid for it myself, I'd achieved it myself. It wasn't off my husband's back. So I followed the word of Dad, and from there, things just escalated. And the following day after I'd had this reading, I just went home so full of life. So full of life. The next day I thought, well, I know there's a spiritualist church in Palmy. I'd been there once before, shortly after Mum had passed. I'll go back. I was greeted at the door by this huge guy who said, you're Bev. I went, yeah. He said, I knew you were coming today. He says, now, I'm going to introduce you to people. He says, don't worry. He said, your dad's here with you. He said, we'll have a chat after service, but we'll go find somebody for you to sit next to. See, you know, because you're looking scared shitless. I said, I am. He said, no need. He introduced me to Sally, who sat and held my hand. The first song we sung was The Rose. And bloody instantly, my mum was stood at the side of me. Her perfume came in so strong. The tears just free-flowed. And so he said, it's okay, your mum's going to stay with you because you need your mum at this moment. And I looked at her, she said, we'll talk after service. So we did the service and the medium was fantastic. My jaw just hit the floor. The tears were just, I couldn't stop the tears. But it was just the release of the grief that I'd pent up, and it made me angry and all sorts. I wasn't a nice person. At the end of the service, Sally stayed with me. Warren came for a chat. They then took me to see the healing room and introduced me to Gordon. Well, that was it. I got my healing, and he's a magnetic healer. This guy is now 85, and he is. When we go on retreat, I like Gordon with me because he's so much more. He's all that in a bag of chips, and he's 85, and he's just wonderful. So yeah, I went off, I did my Reiki, I got very excited, and that was it. It's just flowed from there.
Mm.
And I've
Reiki
learned,
is an amazing thing, isn't it?
well, nobody had explained to me though about when you're doing Reiki, that spirit popping in. The first time I did it, and I shit myself and leapt through the window. Once you've calmed yourself down and smelled very nicely at your, thankfully it was a friend on the bed, and explained what had happened, things flowed from there. Various other things happen, which we won't go into, because to me that it's still, my mind is still processing that. And it's happened a long while ago, but it's how things flow. And the questions that pop up.
What I've noticed with COVID, I don't know if are you master then? Do you attune people or?
Yeah.
Yeah. What I've noticed in COVID time is that when I attune someone to Reiki 1, they've got Reiki 2 skills. And when I attune Reiki 2, they got Reiki 3 skills. So I kind of, which for people who don't know, Reiki 1 is just healing from friends and family and on physical body. Reiki 2 is for emotional healing, and Reiki 3 is for spiritual healing. But what I found is when I just done 1, and also Zoom Reiki attunements, because I never thought they'd work, but they so work.
I haven't done that yet.
Oh, you should try it, because I really didn't believe, you know, how can you do that? But, you know, the intention is that it goes through the solar system, doesn't it? They seem to be even awesome attunements to the people that are next to me, so that it really works. And I just find them, like, they can do distance healing for Reiki 2 as well, just without having been taught the symbols. So you know, it's quite amazing. So I always think that Reiki was in, you know, it came to Yasui in 1937, I think, or somewhere around there. And then his little, the guy 2 steps below him said, right, we're going to just separate the Reiki into 1, 2, and 3. But actually, that's humans that did that. And
Yeah,
the guys up there are going, no, we're sorting it. You know, we're going to give them more stronger healing because the times.
To me, the way it's been split, and especially by that lady who I forget her name,
Takata, yeah,
that's the one. To me, that was done on greed. It wasn't heart-based, it was greed-based. She split it, there wasn't allowed to take notes. It was all down to her mouth. And especially the way it's done now, you pay for your first one, massive jump in what you pay for Reiki 2, huge jump in Reiki 3. I can't work like that.
I can't work like that. I give Reiki 1 free. No, I attune people for free for Reiki 1, and then only £50 for Reiki 2 and 80 for Reiki 3, because then they can earn money out of it. You know, that's so I keep it low.
You're gonna slap me, because I've only charged, and I've done a lot. I've only ever charged 2 people, and then I haven't charged them a lot. I've provided them with a manual, a certificate.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, but the ones I've attuned have been heart-based.
Yeah.
And the ones that have paid for it is because they've seen, they've had it, they've heard how much people can charge for it. And it's become that little sideline. But it's been done because they can earn money from it, not because they want to. It's something different that their friends don't do. It gives them like a one-upmanship, which is what I've.
Those people.
Oh, there's a lot of it around, kiddo. A lot of it around.
I don't have those people. I have. I say to them, if they come for healing for something, you know, or just counselling or whatever, I say, well, I'll know. Oh, most people who come, they're stuck. Normally at the moment they're stuck in life, and because they're what I call muggles, which is they don't know anything, but they know there's something. And then I go, okay, what I see is they're either a healer or they're a like counselor. That's their way of healing. So I kind of go, okay, you should have Reiki 1. I do that for free, that's fine, and that will really help you heal. Or okay, or the other way is I teach them tarot because they're an oracle. So yeah, more of an oracle talker or a healer hands-on. That's how the people seem to divide.
I've never thought of it that way. Never. I will admit I get so wrapped up in what we do because it just brings me that peace.
Yeah.
The last retreat, we did a retreat a couple of weeks ago, and it's the first one that we've been able to do since COVID. And when you start having the people walk through the door, whether they're coming for a reading or they're coming from a healing or hot rock therapy, it's the beautiful lady that sits at the door, the way she greets them. She sets the tone. And as she brings them through, it's then Shirley whose retreat it actually is. And she will say, right, well, I'm thinking you need a card reading, yes? And they'll go, yes. And she's, right, young Michelle is free. Let's take you through to Michelle. And Michelle she's very serene, very quietly spoken. She views the world from behind her eyes. And this is the first time she's done it on this scale. And to watch that girl grow over 2 days, at the end of it, I said to her, right, we did a little practice session on each other. There was 3 of us. 2 of us are healers that are used just purely for healing when we're on retreat. And I dabble in the cards. Sean, he flits and flirts. And we did a reading for each other. And I said to her, you've got to stop looking at the world from behind your eyes. Because you're not putting yourself in there wholly. stop watching from behind your eyes. You put a veil so tight in front of you, you need to move through it. And then once you're the other side, the confidence and everything will flow. But
I think this, yeah.
Stop,
I think it's almost like ego, isn't it? That gets in the way and makes them doubt, and then they're seeing it on everything on a material, worldly basis, where we see things, we forget all that bit, and we're seeing things just with intuition, isn't it? It's a different feeling.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, she did this, she did the first day, and the night time I took a look at her and she got this great big smile on her face. I said, feeling a bit better now, girl? She went, yeah. How's your day been? Oh, I've had a great day. I've just had a fucking great day. The following morning, something really awful happened on retreat this time, but we won't go there. But she did her thing. And she came out and I said, you look to be a completely different person. I said, your whole persona has changed. You look so goddamn relaxed. And she said, I've just done the most hardest reading of my life I've ever had to do. But I feel so much better in myself. Yeah. I said, you're in front of your eyes and present instead of being behind your eyes and hiding. Yeah. I said, you look. I said, come and stand in front of the wall. And it was just a plain white wall. I said, your aura has changed so much. I said, and you can actually, as you're walking towards her, you can actually feel her aura before you got anywhere near her. Yeah. But it was oozy and lovely, and she actually hugged people before she left. Yeah, she hugged people before, but it was a quick bodily and gone. This time it was full. She drove off with a smile in her face, and it's the first time I've actually ever seen her like that.
Yeah, I know. But you know what people say? I've had this a couple of times now where people say the only time I find happiness is when I'm either talking to spiritual people or doing spiritual stuff. And then if they go back to their normal lives, then they're like,
yeah.
And so I said, surely that shows you that you should be doing more spiritual stuff.
See, I've spoken to you when I've had a crisis. I've spoken to Christine when I've had a crisis, and I've spoken to Elena. And you've all said the same thing. The reason I am doing this is actually because of you. We had a conversation a little while ago where Bev had got into one of her little funks again. I know I can do it. I know I can do it well. But because of something that's happened in the past through the region of where I live and the spiritual movement here, I got where I was too scared to come forward, too scared to do it again, too scared to teach. And I couldn't understand why. And I got so insular in myself, I actually stopped doing development classes for a while. And then you did something, and I thought, guides came through and said, look, if you don't contact Tina, we're going to bug you all day. So I did. I contacted you, and you put me on the right path. So I thought about it. I went out and got some equipment. I thought, I'm going to podcast. I can podcast because nobody can see me. I can waffle my head off for England and for New Zealand. Nobody's going to see me. And so I did. I got my mic. I got my camera. Don't know why I got my camera, but I've had my cameras. And it took a whole month of me picking up the courage just to waffle into a microphone. And when you hear your own voice, you'll know this because I think I was in development class with you the first time Elena taped it, and I heard my voice, and they say you have many guides. I asked for a voice coach, guys, to come through because I have a northern accent, and it freaked me out, completely freaked me out. So I thought, podcasting is the way to go. Nobody can see you. but it's the way to go. So I did my first one, which I flicked to only people that I trust. I didn't put it out into the ether because I'm still building up my trust in myself. And then I thought, you really are a silly person. You've done development groups through Zoom. You've done other stuff through Zoom. And I thought, I'm going to ring my mate Tina. And because I feel at ease with you.
Oh,
I
thank you.
feel very at ease with Elena, Christina, and various other people, which I'm now trying to get them on board so they can bring how they first started, where it's taken them. And we can show the world we're not unapproachable, scary monsters. I mean, yeah, okay, I'll probably get slammed down for it because I've got my vape with me today. Again, it's a tool that just helps me keep my little self going. Another tool I have with me, and I go nowhere without, because these are not just a tool, they're part of who I am. My crystals. I'm a huge selenite and calcite freak. But I love them. They make me feel grounded. They help me connect to spirit.
And they're always right, whichever one you pick.
And
I have to, sorry, I was going to say, I have this thing with technology too. And the inroads I have made this weekend, actually, with technology, because I'm trying to write a course for Udemy for my dream work. And the battles we have with technology. But so Peter's site. That's I kind of went, oh, I've had this crystal, I haven't seen it for a while. I pick it up. What's this one for? Can't remember. Peter's site, and it's for technology as well as getting rid of negative energy. And that's how they are, isn't it? Oh, of course, I need that one. Thank you very much for pointing you out.
It's like aquamarine. In the healing room, I have two tiny little slivers. I pick it up and I get all very excited. And I now know that they can be used within healing. And for me, it helps me with bones and with muscular problems. Darling niece playing football here in New Zealand, hurt her leg quite badly. We had it x-rayed, just tissue damage, took her home, leg up, fed her, played with her, stuck a load of crystals on her, did her healing, and she said, you will never believe the feeling I'm getting from this. And I've not done crystal energy work on. I've done hot rocks, I've done normal healing, but never used the crystals, although I've given her them as presents. And her little face, by the time her mum got home, she was walking so much better with her crutches. So when my youngest turned up, I said, come into the room, tell me what you think to these. And she said, Mum, I don't get a bloody thing. But I'll have that piece of selenite. I said, no, that's my babe. You go get your own, that's fine. You don't touch my selenite. But it is something that I seem to be buying en masse. And if somebody comes to the house for either a reading or a healing, they seem to be walking out the door with selenite.
Oh, right. Okay. That's a moon goddess, you see. Selene is the one that is linked with selenite, so that would be a moon goddess energy. That would be one to inquire it with your guides why you're drawn to the moon goddess energy.
Now, from being a wee girl, every night before I go to bed, I'm out, always outside. It doesn't matter where we've lived, I always go outside and I look for the moon. And for some bizarre reason, I've always said the same thing. Thank you for allowing me to have this day. Watch over me while I sleep. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And I work night shift, so when I have my breaks, I'm straight outside, up to the moon. I'm a moon and star girl. And my husband will say, well, I'm going to bed. Are you bloody coming in now? 5 minutes, love. Don't tell him what I'm doing. I don't. Because he thinks I'm weird anyway. But he thinks I'm getting stranger.
I think we are getting stranger, but that's a good thing.
I bought a little Shaman's, I thought it was a drum for my birthday. And it's taken a while to arrive from Canada. And it's a Shaman's bowl drum. So it's only a small one.
Oh, yeah.
And when it came last week, I got very excited. I drummed from the hallway all the way through into my rooms. I just loved it. The other day, he's in bed screaming in agony, and I said, look, your chakras are out, kiddo. I'm not going to explain chakras. I'm just going to tell you, your chakras are out. I just want to try something, honey. Shut up. Don't say anything, just go with it. So I went and got my little drum, and I drummed all the way around him, down his legs. I did it 3 times. I said, oh, I see what the guy means now. You can hear the tones change.
Yeah.
So once they'd all sounded the same, I said, oh, you're all in line now. Get in bed, I'll do your healing. And he said, what the bloody hell else have you bought now? I said, yeah, it's all in it.
You should make, I went, luckily enough, I went to one where we made our own drum. It was wonderful. So next, if there's someone who it helps you make drums in New Zealand, do that. You birth your own drum and then have a birthing ceremony of the drum, and it's beautiful. But my drum, because of the cold English weather, always takes ages to warm up to get the right tone.
Yeah.
So I have to hug it for at least half an hour to warm the blinking thing up to get but it is lovely. But actually in this weather, it's really baking hot over here. We had the hottest day of the year in England this year.
It's winter here in New Zealand now, but it's a nice morning. It was a beautiful day yesterday, absolute beautiful day. Today it looks like it's going to be a good day. So I shall be doing the normal, boring, mundane stuff. And then I've got to go out and make friends in the garden.
Yeah.
See if, you know,
bring them back.
If I can get my babies back.
There's always a reason, isn't there, Bev? There's always a reason for things to happen. As soon, you know, every time anyone challenges me in any way, I go, what am I meant to learn from this? And that just gets me through every challenge or every low moment, you know, and I go, okay, what am I learning? Or someone says something horrible or whatever, I go, okay, what am I reading in there? Come on,
so,
what's it about?
See, now on the way to work, before I go to work, over what happened last year and what's happened continuously, I now have a little thing that I follow, because I start winding myself up about 8:30 at night. I've now actually stopped that, and I sit down. I'm ready for work. I've got my pack up done for the meal for night. I sit and I call in my angels and I call in my guides. I balance and cleanse my chakras. I have a wee chat to them and I say, look, please may I have protection placed around myself and every member of staff throughout my shift from any thoughts, emotions, or physicalities that may happen. Please will you keep us all safe. I ask Archangel Raphael for healing for the patients that really need it. And if a member of staff needs healing, please can it be brought forward? And I place us all in this huge bubble above the hospital. And I give thanks because I know, yeah, okay, if I get hit, it's not going to hurt as much as it should have done. I do believe that if I was not as spiritual as I am, when that gentleman attacked me last year, had it been normal under the circumstances, that blow would have killed me.
Yeah,
it should have killed me. It didn't. Yes, it's destroyed my confidence quite a bit, but it didn't kill me. I'm still here. I'm still doing the job I actually do love. It's the whole surroundings around the job that's the pain at the moment. I do believe if I don't keep the faith that I have in the divine.
When the time is right, they'll show you the way out, won't they? If that is meant to be. If that is meant to be.
At the moment, I know I'm needed there. I do love my job. I really do love my job. But it's the politics behind what it is that's the problem. And their politics, it's not just our hospital, it's every hospital in the world.
Exactly.
We are all going through the same thing.
Yeah. I know,
So,
it's shocking because I
so
used to be a
it's,
carer. I know
yeah.
it's horrible.
So it's, I mean, you live and you learn. And I'm grateful for every experience now that unfolds. I know it has a reason. There is a reason behind it. Look a little bit deeper. And be your best. If somebody's going to clobber me, they're either that ill and they're not in their body. It's a reaction. Look at it.
Yeah.
Instead of flying off the handle and letting panic consume me, it's now a case of, okay, spirit saying, step back, Evelyn, take a good look, give a little check in. Now do you understand? And it has given me that more of an understanding behind what is happening and how to prepare the person that's coming on next after my shift.
Yeah.
Making sure they understand, make sure it's documented. That, okay, yeah, the old bugger slapped me around the face half a dozen times, but how close was my face to him? He doesn't know who I am. He hasn't got a bloody
No.
clue who I am. And all of a sudden he's got a stranger's face that's waffling. And because of where he is in his illness, put yourself in his shoes.
Mm. I know.
So,
I just watched actually The Father with at the pictures today with Olivia Colman and Anthony Hopkins. It was amazing. And they filmed it all entirely from the guy with well, they didn't say what form of dementia he had, but some form of dementia. And so every face was, well, each time one person was a different face.
yeah.
So you were like, is that, who is that, who is that? And so you completely understood the dementia person's point of view. It's a really good film.
We had a lady in, a good few years ago now, and I was looking after her. Beautiful lady. She was so inside herself. Her voice had never been heard for years. And she'd had a really big operation, and it was my job just to keep her safe all night. Sat down, smiled at her, introduced myself, and I held her hand. An hour later, Spirit showed me her as a little girl playing with her sister. And I thought, oh, that's nice. Smiled at her again, still holding her hand. Then they took me back to her teenage years when she first met her husband. It showed me them both riding a bike together, how happy they were. And then that stopped. A little while later, they showed me their wedding day. I saw the birth of her daughters. And then in the next breath, they showed me the death of her husband. And it was from that point where that lady ceased to be.
Mm.
She'd gone so far inside herself through grief.
Yeah.
I mean, by the end of my shift, I'd been through so many things with this beautiful lady in spirit. The nurse came up to me. She said, we've watched you all night. Where have you been? I said, I was present. I was here.
Yeah.
I was also taken away and shown. I said, I can't explain to you because you don't quite understand. All I can tell you is she is inside her body. She hears you. She sees you. But she's wanting not to be here. But it's our job to make life for her as nice as it can be. I said, she's a wonderful lady, but she's grieving for her husband that died many years ago.
I think that's why Spirit is keeping you in that job, because you're such an asset to them. You know, you give such an extra skill that people, well, no one else can see it, can they?
No, it's, you'll hear, well, blah, 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 did blah, 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 blah. And automatically your fear goes in. And you can see little care assistants having to leave their shift early, one, because they've had their nose broken. They've been bitten. they've been punched, they've been, you know, they've had horrible things thrown at them. And you think, okay, now I'm looking at it from a different perspective with a clearer set of eyes. You've got to not tune into the person, but tune into the surroundings before you even walk through that door and introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And it has put a different view on life for me.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, we do have nasty people in hospital that really should have been sent home a while ago, but they're there for specific reasons. I give those a wide berth.
Yeah.
Because I know that their intention isn't good. It's behavioural, it's not illness. It is purely, they want the attention, can't have it, they'll rack the place out. And that, to me, that is wrong, because it's not fair on the nurses and it's not fair on the other patients. So I am starting to look at the world that I have to be in, that puts money on the table for food and for Bev to afford the stuff that Bev gets. This is my enjoyment of life, this side of it. This is where I become a different person.
Mm.
But it's, I don't know whether you found this at all, but it's the joining of the two of us and being able to shut off and have the human mundane side, as Julian calls it, living in our little mundane world without any interference from spirit, where we're just purely wholly physical here.
Yeah, I guess that's, oh, I don't know actually, because I was thinking, oh, that's when I cook dinner, and then, but I always have one of my dead people I used to look after. She's always in the kitchen with me, watching what I'm cooking, and telling me in my head to get my son down to wash up and not me. She's like nagging. So actually, I was thinking, oh, when I'm cooking, no, actually, she's there. And yeah, I'm just trying to think when they're not there. No, because it's either it's my higher self is always there.
Yeah.
And now when it very, very seldomly does my ego come in, and I go away, I'm listening to this one, I'm not listening to the whatever, you know, yeah, but you can't do that. Oh yes, I can. and then yeah, so there's that higher self is there all the time. And then I suppose the spirit guides, I mean, they're there all the time too, but I'm less aware of them.
Yeah.
Until, you know, something happens, and then I go, oh yeah, oh okay, thank you for that. So I guess I think what I've done over the last couple of years is not allow the people who are not spiritual at all to be in my orbit, really. So if a new person comes to me, they will be spiritual. They'll be on their journey. And no one comes to me that isn't. So actually my whole world is immersed in lovely people. I shouldn't say that.
I'm working towards that.
Joyous. Yeah. And so some of my family are less so, well, completely not so. And I love them, but I wouldn't hang around with them. Don't put this out there. I would with my sister, but some of them anyway. Let's not go
we
there.
all have. Yeah, well, we'll go with that, because we all have aspects of that in our lives.
Exactly, but otherwise, circling around me are only spiritual people, and therefore I'm a happy bunny all the time. That's kind of pretty much it.
The one thing I have found highly hysterical, and some days really, really strange, is when you sit on the sofa and it's end of the evening, you've had your meal, you're shut down, and you're just having time,
Yeah.
And then something will come on the TV.
Yeah.
You both look up. And luckily John doesn't see it, but he has seen me actually move on the sofa to let somebody else. I mean, we've got a sofa each. And I've actually moved over because I've seen spirit walk in the room, come in and sit next to me. And it's always when Top Gear's on. We both love Top Gear. And I know it's my dad because I get the smell of tobacco. And I get this, my father will come in, he'll sit next to me, I'll get shift over, Bleg. Come on, shift over, shift your ass. And I do. And I'm thinking, what if I just moved for my dad, who's in spirit, who could sit any bloody where?
Yeah,
Because it's
on
that
your
old
lap.
job. What if I just moved over for my dad when my dad's in spirit? Or I'll hear my mum go and put the kettle on, John needs a drink. Okay. I'm thinking, you silly bugger. I told you off on the kitchen, let John a drink, put it down and sit down and go, thanks. I said, you did want one, did you? He said, I was just thinking that I needed a drink. I thought, well, mum has just told me.
I haven't that. I only seem to have them when they want to tell me something or when I call them in for work. So luckily I don't have them all the time. I don't know why. Maybe I mean I'm with my higher self all the time. That's a different thing, isn't it? And I don't see spirit, I just feel them. So you're more advanced definitely on mediumship than I am. But I just feel them, or the knowing.
Right, we have
coming.
at the moment, we have, and it's a pity I can't turn the computer around, we have two little wax eyes. They're tiny little birds about that big. And they're sat watching us. They've just flown in and they've sat and they're observing.
Oh, lovely.
They've just been chatting while we've been chatting, which is nice.
Well, I got the feeling that Doris was saying she's very proud of you. So I had that earlier.
She's that came as a shock when she dropped in that day. Only people in development group actually know about her because I haven't told anyone else.
Okay.
But when I was chatting to Elena last night, she actually came through, and she came through with a message for Elena. And it was just lovely.
Yeah.
It was telling Elena, I want to be with you. I want to connect with you stronger. Just go to the beach, stand in the water, hold out your right hand, and I will take it. And all the time I'm telling Elena, my right hand was going mental.
Yeah.
I said to Elena, stop crying. And she said it is such a spiritual thing, knowing that people want to work with you.
Yeah.
And they're there and they're listening. But it's also a good thing if you get up your own arse, they're there to slap you down. Pull your head in, stop being silly, do it this way. And if you don't listen, they don't shut up.
Yeah.
Until you get the light bulb, aha. I'm not the sharpest tool in the box. It normally takes me 3 times for it to register. Oh God, I am a silly bugger. There you go.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, for me, it's what this life brings. It brings peace, it brings joy.
Yeah.
I've learned gratitude on a different level. Honouring the loving family I have on a different level. Learning that things that happen, it's not my fault, it's not my journey, but I'm here to help. That is a huge thing I've had to accept. I don't like the way that the lessons had to be learned.
No. I think I've learned, I've learned forgiveness, patience, letting go of the past.
Yeah.
Having time for myself. Number one is time for myself, to love myself and put myself first. Because we're healers, we want to heal the world, don't we? And so for years I put everyone, for years, I can't even remember when that started, but for years I put absolutely everyone first. And now I kind of go, and I still have a bit, I'm meditating, and my son, can you take me to football? And I go, give me 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh, I'm enjoying myself, but And I still have that little bit, but
Yeah.
I now say, instead of just getting up immediately, now I'm actually in meditation going 10 minutes. So, you know, I've improved, but I know there's still ways to go about kind of building boundaries
Yeah.
and saying, no, this is me and I'm having time. Thank you. But it's all a learning curve, isn't it?
What would you say to if somebody, a total stranger, comes into your life and says, Tina, teach me, what is the first thing I must learn?
I would say, oh God. Well, what normally happens is when they do that, because I have that all the time,
Yeah.
I go, okay, let's just I'll get them to tell me, okay, so the first word that comes to me is chakras. I need to know about their chakras. I need to know where the root chakra is and what stability is, because everyone's is completely fucked up. And so when we can work with that one, sorry about the language, when we kind of go, okay, shall I explain why your root chakra is, where you feel unstable, where you feel stuck, where you're desperate for money, where you're in a shit job with a bad husband or wife? Let's explain the root chakra. And then I just go through that, you know, the stability that causes when your childhood is even a fragmented upset,
Yeah.
let alone a massive upset. And then maybe you have a trauma when you get married or birth, or, you know, you go to uni, or your parents move or something like that, at all these different stages in your life, and that upsets the root chakra. And then you're like a mess. So we need to work with the root chakra. And then to do that, we do some inner child work, because the root chakra is totally about the inner child work and talking to yourself and talking to all those little children that are in there who are hurt and wounded, and then working with them and releasing through a bit of Reiki. So anyway, that's how I start, and then it develops, and then they want to learn, how do I do that? How do I do that? And then I'm teaching them.
Yeah.
But the first thing I always go is, tell me, let's work out how your root chakra is. That's it.
So we do have more in common than we know, because I'm a huge chakra thing. I like to teach people about the chakras, and it's I'd say before I go to work, I ground myself, I clear my chakras, I make sure I'm in line, I call in all the good stuff. I go to work, I come out of work, I cut the cord. The minute I'm off hospital property, I cut my cords to the hospital, to the ward, to the people I've looked after, to members of staff. I realign my chakras, I balance them, I cleanse them. So as I'm driving home, I'm not being Bev, the healthcare assistant, anymore. As I'm getting nearer and nearer to home, I'm becoming Bev, the person, my hubby's wife, so that when I open my front door, morning, darling, did you sleep well? Should we have a cuppa? What do you want to drink, darling? I'll feed the cats. I become who I am for John.
Yeah. And that's where people, I mean, that's what I didn't do in the past, and I burnt out. And that's what my guy said, you burnt out because you weren't doing that. So now I've learned that completely, but also I'm helping others. I know it's getting late, Bev, in our world. World.
Oh, crikey. So it is late, because it's almost,
we could have talked all night, but
bloody could, so we'll do this again. So
yeah.
Hello world, and thank you. This has been Tina Booth and myself, Bev, talking about our spirituality, the way that we see the world, how we deal with it. Now, if you do have any questions when I post this, please do write in. Please ask your questions, and it's something we're going to be addressing. I will be having Tina on again and again and again. I've so enjoyed our time.
Yeah, that was
and
good.
What we'll do is we'll pick a topic and we'll just go with that topic.
Yeah.
So if anybody out there listening, watching, you want to know about a certain thing, contact me. You can get me on my Gmail account, which is beverlypennell19@gmail.com. You can find me on Messenger through Elfings Readings and Holistic Healings. Or if you even want to talk to Tina yourself about anything, you can get tina@thetemple@gmail.com, or you can find her beautiful site on Facebook. You can contact her if that's okay on Messenger.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
want to
carry
learn
on.
more, Tina is based in Somerset, England. I am based here in Fielding, New Zealand. Quite a bit of distance there, girl.
Small world.
Quite a bit of distance, but through Zoom, meeting up in a development group.
Yeah.
It's opened us up. We've made so many friends that are there to help us and guide us when we have a problem. So I'm going to leave you on that. Love and leave you. I've enjoyed myself so much, Tina. We've
Yeah,
got to
me
do this
too.
again.
Thank you. I could have talked all night, but I need to get some sleep.
And I better go and actually get some mundane work done. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I will be in problems when hubby comes home tonight. So I will love you and leave you, and I will thank you, world. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. Like I've said, any comments, anything you want to know, get in touch. We'll address them. We'll move forward. I've loved every minute of this, honey. So
Yeah,
bye-bye,
me too.
world, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Night-night.
Night-night. Bye.
Bye.